Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pop Art Hunter channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of my other collections. I have some vintage Mutoscope 1940s-esque, circa 1940s pinup cards. Now these are pinup cards that came in like a vending machine. You'd put in a penny, 2 cents, maybe a nickel. Probably not a nickel at that time. It was probably 1 or 2 pennies. And you would get one of these cards back. Now these are all PSA graded cards. I have 250-ish of the PSA graded ones. In this particular case here, it's hard to see. We'll look a little bit closer. There's about 45 of them. And so I got quite a few of these cases. I also have some ungraded stuff that I'm waiting to ship out. And we'll also talk a little bit about that process and how you might want to package those things up and what you might want to have graded. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so this is just a small subset of the larger collection of cards that I have. So I have, I'm going to say, going on 300 cards. About 250 of them are the PSA authenticated and graded. And so yeah, so what we'll do is take a look at a few of these. I'll just kind of, show you some of the cards and a little bit more about them, and also the display holder that I have them in here. Try to tilt this up a little bit without spilling everything out. So these are just actually like desk or office organizer trays that I found at a local store, and then I ended up liking them, so I was able to track down the manufacturer and order some online. But essentially this will allow me to have them in a more easily accessible fashion, and be able to just pull out a specific card if I want to and showcase it, and have them all still pretty well displayed. So this right now has 45 cards in it. It can hold more than 45. If you wanted to, you could probably put another 2 or 3 extra. So maybe another 20 to 35 cards or something like that, depending on how much you want to squish them in. I like to leave about 5 per row, because then I can kind of go through it. And also, if I add a card, I have these all based on the set that they're from. So these are actually from a set called Hacha Girls. And there's All American Beauties, Follies, Slick Chicks. There's all these different, sets. And so I actually organized them by set. So these are all Hacha. They're not all of them. I have more than that. So I have a separate tray for those. But they're also in alphabetical order, so I can more easily track them. And so if I do purchase a card, or I do get something graded, I can actually go through here, flip to that particular spot, and add 1 card in there. So that's why I leave about 5 on each one of them, and then some rows might have 6 or 7, just depending on the alphabetization. And so it goes from left to right, and then front to back with the alphabetizing. So these are all PSA graded, and they are varied. So most of the cards that I have are 5 or above. I have a couple, like this is an example of a 4. I don't know how well you can, the focusing works on these with the reflection. But that one's actually a 4, which is still very good to excellence from the PSE perspective, but not as coveted. This one, as an example, is an 8. And so I average, somewhere in that, 6 area as far as all the cards combined. But there's a very few that are lower than a 5. I tried to make that kind of my low, so that I would keep everything roughly above that. But if I did see a card that I hadn't seen in a long time, if it was a 4 or a 2.5 or whatever it would be, I would consider getting those. So I have another, let's see, 2, 4, was another 5 of these that I have displayed right now. And then I also have a whole series of them that are not graded yet, and I have those in these little sleeves like this. So these cards were roughly around the 40s, and then that's quite a few years old, and so to find these undamaged is pretty cool. To find them in this much of a preserved condition, because these would be things that would be thrown around, used as a bookmark, added as a cigar box of trinkets or something like that. And, they would be damaged over the course of those years. And then you got water damage, sunlight damage. I think that a lot of them that are in circulation, some of them found them within the bricks, and the brick is what you would call the unopened you know, I'm trying to find the words. The unopened set of these that would be have shipped to the manufacturer for them to actually put into the vending machines themselves. And so those bricks are typically, some of them will be in a cardboard box, but some of them are just wrapped in like a, just kind of a brown paper and then sealed up. So those bricks, I think some of those were preserved, and then people have been purchasing, opening them up, and then distributing the cards. So those seem to be the highest grade items that you can find, are those ones that were within bricks. And there are more rare cards and less rare cards. As an example, one of the more rare cards in this particular set, or in general, would be this one. And this is Golden Hours. And what this one was is, I have this one that's rated a 5. And that one was one that was considered a little too risque. It was a little bit more suggestive in nature. And so they actually got rid of it, and they replaced it with a different card called My Diver's License. And it was a woman on a diving board about to jump into a pool, and it said, I think it has My Diver's License or something like that on it. And that one ended up being a little bit more risque, it seemed like. So that tends to be the most coveted one, and then this is maybe the second most as far as rarity goes. I don't have the Diver's License one. I've had a couple opportunities to get it. It's been a little out of my range when they've been graded, and then a couple times it just slipped away for the ungraded one. So eventually going to put that on my list. So yeah, so they variety of different ranges of rarity, etc. So what I like to do is, you can send these into PSA, and there's other grading services. I first bought a couple of cards from PSA, and then so I kept with it. Now, when I bought some of these cards a long time ago, it was $10 per grading, or at least that's what the seller told me. He's like, it cost me $10 per card to have it slabbed and graded, and so when I was making him an offer on that, he said, please keep that in mind, that I got to pay $10 per thing. Well, when I got, I would say about 120 of these, I think I sent in, and I got them graded, and it was $20 a piece. And so the price had doubled. With the last year, there was some recent, with the pandemic and stuff, there were some recent changes in their services. They got rid of certain services, they modified, and they were going to be $30 a piece. Well, now that they've discontinued some of the services, it would be $50 a piece, because these are considered extra large, supersized, I believe, and it's an extra $20. So it ends up that they're going to be $50 a piece just to grade and slab these, and or encapsulate. I call it slabbing, and so you maybe use that for comic books, the same sort of thing. So I just don't know that's worth it. $50 a piece. Some of these cards are not going to be worth that, even if they're of a higher grade. So I'm definitely waiting for that service and price to come down. I have about another 50 to 75 cards, I believe, to send in. And so if it goes back down to 20, I'll definitely send them in. If it stays up at 50, I probably won't. I'm considering selling the collection. I've had this for many years. I'm considering looking at selling that out. But what I would do is I would definitely sell per set. So whatever I've got of Hotcha Girls, or whatever I've got of, Slick Chicks, or whatever I got of Follies, or whatever, it would sell as those individual sets. Maybe not the whole set together, because that would be quite expensive. So to make it a little bit more affordable, I would do it in, the lower sets, or the subsets versus that large collection of entirely. So when I do send them into PSA, what I like to do is I get these card saver sleeves. This is card saver 4. They have different numbers, different sizes, but there's this harder plastic sleeve. I also put them in these little penny sleeves. And then what I like to do is I will cut some, I have some larger sticky notes, kind of like these little pads. I'll just cut them into little strips. And so what that does is it actually allows the grader to actually pull this little tab and to pull it out without having to go inside and pull things. It makes it a little bit easier for them. And before I send them in, it makes it easier for me to pull out or adjust or change things around. So I do like that little pull tab there. And that's just something I've always done when I've sent stuff in. So yeah, so this is part of the collection. Again, this is about 40. This is 45, 46 with this one, of the 250 PSA graded, 300 total, so probably about 50 to 75 of the other ones. Just a rough estimate. I do have them all tracked somewhere, but I didn't specifically count, and some are, you know, here and there, and I've sold a couple, and so I have to double check all that stuff in the long run. But yeah, pretty cool set, and you know, it's I do like these cases, and so if you do have these cards or any cards similar to this, having something like this that you can set on a shelf and display, I think is a good way to organize and also quickly grab you know, cards that you like to show off or showcase, put them back, and keep everything still organized but still protected. So yeah, that's the Mutoscope cards. I love this collection. It's, you know, it's got a lot of really great imagery from a bunch of different artists, both male and female, that produce these paintings that were so lifelike and vibrant, and you know, a lot of them are fun. They're punny, you know, the little sayings that they have on them, and you know, having a collection like this, it really is symbolic of that era. You know, in the 1940s, you go to these little vendors, and this is what you plop a couple pennies in, and this is what you get out. It sort of speaks to that time period. But being able to preserve these in, you know, some sort of a reasonably good condition, I think it's kind of a chore, but an honor at the same time to kind of keep this art alive for future generations. And so I think this is a cool set. I keep plugging away at the collection. Still have a lot of things to send off to be graded, and eventually I'll do that once prices, you know, kind of stabilize a little bit with that. And yeah, so anyway, I like this collection. Hopefully you enjoyed looking at some of it. We didn't go over all of it. There's too many to show you every single one. But hopefully you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, and all those sorts of things. And we will see you next time right here on the Pop Art Hunter channel.